Hey, it's Paul. We are at BEA, the Book Expo 2019. We're at Deepwater Games to check out all of their cool new tabletop stuff. What's your name?
Hello, my name's Elle, and I am the Director of Sales for Deepwater Games.
Okay, so Elle is going to show us all this cool stuff.
So for starters, we've got Welcome To. This has definitely been the bread and butter of our little baby fledgling company so far. This is a roll and write title. It is actually #1 of its genre on BoardGameGeek.com and already one of the top 200 board games of all time on there.
Wow.
In Welcome To, we are all playing as housing developers during the 1950s when everybody was making those babies and needed somewhere to put it. So every single player is going to start off with one of these sheets, and over the course of the game, you're going to select every turn from 3 different houses you can build and add to your neighborhood. Each house will have a street address and an action. So street addresses on your neighborhood have to go in ascending order, and then you'll get points based off of the different actions that you take as well. They're all going to score out differently. For example, construction is a king of the hill mechanic, where at the end of the game, whichever player did the most construction will get 7 bonus points. The next most will get 4 bonus points. So all 6 of the actions that will pop up throughout the game are going to score out differently. So you'll have lots of different routes you can go in order to have the highest scoring neighborhood by the end of the experience. And then, for example, over here we have Jisha Academy and Hanami Koji. They are the same exact game, just with different artwork and characters in each of them. In Hanami Koji, we are vying for the favor of the 7 highly esteemed and well-trained geisha in town. And in Jisha Academy, we're vying for the favor of the 7 highly esteemed scholars that have attended Jisha Academy. We do so in each of these games by essentially showering them with gifts. You can tell which gift goes to which scholar because the color and number in the corner will match. The number in the corner tells you a couple of other things. For starters, that's how many points his favor is worth. Second of all, it's how many points or how many cards he has in the gift deck. So while these gentlemen are going to be worth a lot of points, you're also going to have to use a lot of resources to win them over. Each round takes 4 turns, and over the course of those turns, you'll take very simple actions that force you into very difficult decisions. For example, actions might be discard 2 cards in secret, or reveal 3 cards from your hand. Your opponent gets to pick 1, and then you get to play the other 2. So despite very simple mechanics, you get forced into some really stressful situations.
And then you could battle each other with these swords when you get bored.
I wish.
You just like attack.
I actually was as a little kid that taught a couple of
Yes, he was very confused. I'm attacking you with the sword.
Oh.
It's a little tiny sword. See the sword?
So cute.
we broke Yazzie already, and it's early yet.
Oh my
it's like our first booth.
goodness.
She's broken. What are the swords for, actually?
So this is just for marking favor. There are 2 different ways to win the game. If at the end of the round you have won the favor of 4 or more scholars, you win.
Okay.
Alternatively, if the scholars you've won over are worth 11 points or more, you win. If no one has reached one of these win conditions by the end of the round, you actually play another round, and then there's an added element of tug of war, because you can steal favor if you give away more gifts. Favor is fickle. People love things, material things.
Yeah, that's why I went right for the swords.
Right.
Little tiny swords. This is what sells the game for me, little tiny swords. Okay. All right, what's next?
All right. So over here we have Sorcerer in Stones. One of my favorite things about this game is that you can play it as competitive or as co-op, depending on how the mood of the room is. So in Sorcerer in Stones, we're all playing as Taoists, trying to reach enlightenment. So over the course of the game, you'll use cards from your hand to manipulate the physical realm, doing things like spinning tiles or shifting runes in the room. But what you're trying to do here is create particular patterns between the boards that'll do 2 things. For starters, you'll get victory points for those patterns, but you'll also get to pocket any of the resources you use to make those patterns. Those resources could be used to trade in for artifacts, which will be worth more victory points, or you can harness the power of those runes to explore the astral realm that you're simultaneously projecting to complete tasks there and earn points in a different way. So that one's going to be a lot of spatial puzzles, resource management, and set collection. And then over at this table, we've got a couple of other ones. Claim is one of our newest titles. It is a 2-player trick-taking game the king has died and we are both competing for claim of the throne. So the game is going to take 2 rounds. In the first round, every trick that you win is going to earn you a follower, and those followers build your deck for the second round. In the second round, you use your followers to campaign for favor of the 5 factions, and whichever player has earned the favor of at least 3 of those factions wins. Each one is going to reflect in its mechanics the same personality of that fantasy race. For example, doppelgangers are going to be wild cards, and they can follow any suit. Knights are always going to trump over goblins. Dwarves will actually win the trick by the lowest number instead of the highest. So the game is very simple, and it's going to feel familiar to anyone that's played traditional card games like Spades or Hearts or War, but has a lot of personality to reflect the fantasy universe that it takes place in.
Gotcha.
Roundhouse right here is definitely our most complex title that we've got on the table. And this is only a fraction of the components included in the box. It takes up a bit more space than what you see right here. The Roundhouse game is based off of the roundhouses that used to exist in China, where multiple families would live in a singular roundhouse and almost have their own insular community and economy. So in this game, you are playing as the head of a household, and you and your family members are trying to be the most honored family. You have a lot of ways you can do this, whether you're going to temple to worship, and potentially even making family members elders of the temple, or perhaps you are hiring and training the apprentices that run the businesses within your family's roundhouse. But throughout the game, you'll place workers. It's definitely a worker placement Euro style title, and you'll accumulate points through tons of different strategies. This one is a bit of a big experience. We're talking definitely an hour to an hour and a half after you get it set up on the table. But at only $50, you are getting a ton of game for the price tag.
Very cool.
Right here we have Realm of Sand, which is going to be one of our newest titles. This doesn't have every single component on the table, but it does give you a little bit of a feel for what's going on. This is going to be a tile placement game. Every single turn, you will get to select one of the 3 runes in front of the queen, and you get to place that in your personal roster. And then you can choose to either place one of those tiles in your roster somewhere on your board. What you're trying to do is recreate the patterns you see on the cards in the middle of the board. Whenever you earn a card, you'll get victory points based off of the difficulty of that pattern, and then you'll also get these chips to put into your own personal supply. On your turn, if you would like, instead of placing a tile, you can choose to place up to 3 of the chips in your personal supply, and those chips can be placed in whatever order and separate from each other on your board, which is what's going to allow you to build the much more complex and higher scoring designs on these higher level cards that are going to be pretty impossible to create using just the regular tiles. And then finally out on the table we have Mystery of the Temples. This game exists in the same universe as Realm of Sand, so you're going to see some similarities. For starters, in this game we are also mages who have been given instructions by the queen, and you're going to play spatial puzzles with your resources throughout the game as well. In this one, the queen has asked us to break the curses on the 5 temples. So every single turn you'll get to explore the wilderness, placing gems in whatever open spots of your personal board you please. But you want to do it with some forethought, because when we finally visit a temple and attempt to break a curse, you have to be able to trace that exact pattern on your own board. The more complex the curse is, the more points it's going to be worth, and the more resources it's going to cost you in order to break. But at the end of the game, whichever player earns the most points through broken curses and some auxiliary missions that get dealt out randomly at the beginning of the game to add some variety constantly, whoever has the highest score is going to win.
Very cool. Awesome. That's everything from Deepwater.
Yay!
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.